Hoopoes are beautiful birds found across Africa, Asia, and Europe, notable for their distinctive crown of feathers. 3 living and 1 extinct species are recognized. For many years. All species were lumped as a single species, Upupa epops. In fact, all 3 species are still considered conspecific. Certain authorities keep African and Eurasian hoopoe together but split Madagascar Hoopoe. Hoopoe name is onomatopoeic as it is named after soft resonant song or cry of the bird hoo hoo hoo. Upupa and epops are respectively the Latin and ancient Greek names for the hoopoe bird. Hoopoe bird takes dust bath. It is part of a bird's preening and plumage maintenance that keeps feathers in good health by absorbing excess oil to help keep feathers from becoming greasy or matted. Initially considered a single species, hoopoe has been split into 3 separate species. Eurasian hoopoe length is 25 to 32 centimeters, wingspans from 44 to 48 centimeters, and weighs 46 to 89 grams. It is highly distinctive with a long, thin, tapering bill that is black with a fawn base. Its strong head allows bill to be opened when probing inside the soil. Their broad and rounded wings capable of strong flight. These are larger in the northern migratory subspecies. It has an undulating flight like giant butterfly, caused by wings half closing at the end of each beat. Eurasian hoopoe call is oop oop oop. English and scientific names are derived from the French name for the bird, hoopie, which means crested. In the Himalayas, calls can be confused with that of the Himalayan cuckoo, which makes 4 notes. Rasping croaks are made when alarmed and hisses. Females produce a wheezy note during courtship feeding by male. Subspecies of Eurasian hoopoe. They vary in size and depth in color of plumage. U.E. epops is found in northwest Africa, Canary Islands from Europe to south-central Russia, northwest China and south to northwest India. U.E. major is found in northeast Africa. U.E. salina galaniensis is found in Senegal to Ethiopia. U.E. saturata in Japan, Siberia to Tibet and South China. U.E. saloniensis is found in Indian subcontinent. U.E. variabile is found in Cameroon through to North Kenya. U.E. longirostoris is found in Southeast Asia. U.E. orientalis is found in northwestern India. African hoopoe. African hoopoe, Upupa africana, is part of the genus Upupa. Taxonomists are debating if it is a subspecies of Eurasian hoopoe or its own species. Speciation of these birds leading to confusion may have occurred because Eurasian hoopoe migrates usually from Europe to North Africa, but is known to migrate further south in Africa. Birds that migrated further may have just decided to stay in southern Africa, leading to a subspecies or possibly a whole new species known as Upupa africana. African hoopoe is not an overwhelmingly studied bird and more research should be done. African hoopoe has the average size of 25 to 29 centimeters. Weight is between 38 to 67 grams when fully grown, about the size of the average robin. African hoopoes have a crown, also called a crest, which is usually chestnut colored with black on the tips. Crown will raise when bird has been disturbed, especially when eating. No eye rings or eye strips are present, but the bill is long, dark and narrow and slightly down. Male is typically fully chestnut colored, whereas female has grayer body. Both males and females have black and white stripes on their wings and tail, which are rounded. Juveniles are similar in color to females except they have shorter beaks. In adults, beaks are about same size of the head. When in flight, they fly between 4 to 5 beats. then pause and then continue to beat their wings 4 to 5 times. They seem to have similar habits to Eurasian hoopoe. Besides them living in completely different ecological niches, their biggest threats are raptor species, which include hawks and eagles. Madagascar Hoopoe. Adult Madagascar Hoopoe is approximately 32 cm length and weighs 57 to 91 grams. Madagascar Hoopoe is different from other species due to its vocalizations and small differences in plumage. Bill is long and recurved and has cinnamon-colored plumage. Wings are barred in black and white and are broad and rounded. Its tail is black and has a long cinnamon crest with black-tipped feathers, which get raised when the bird is alarmed. Female is slightly duller in color than male, with less white on the wings. Compared to the African hoopoe, it is larger, has a longer tail and a pinker throat. When disturbed, it may fly to a horizontal branch where it perches, flashing its wings and raising and lowering its crest. One accepted separate species, the St. Helena hoopoe, lived on the island of St. Helena but became extinct in the 16th century, mainly due to the introduced species. Formerly, the greater hoopoe lark was also considered to be a member of this genus as Upupa alaudopus. Hoopoe sounds. Eurasian hoopoe call is oop oop oop. English and scientific names are derived from the French name for the bird hoopie, which means crested. In the Himalayas, calls can be confused with that of the Himalayan hoopoe, which makes 4 notes, rasping croaks and made when alarmed and hisses. Females produce a wheezy note during courtship, feeding by male. African hoopoe's common call is oop. They repeat it 2, 3 or 4 times with a break and then continue with the same pattern. The call is only made by males and mainly during mating season. Male also produces a sizzling sound, sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Both these calls are in mating season. When not in mating season, birds are more silent but still have some sound, such as rattle and hurt. Sound is usually by both males and females, often when they are disturbed. Lastly, churi, churi, churi. Sound is used by males when he gives food to the female during mating season. Again, the sound is only made by the male. Madagascar hoopoe's song quite different from the African hoopoes. Hoop, 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 being described as a low quill trill. Boom. Distribution and habitats. Hoopoes are widespread in Europe, Asia, and North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Madagascar. African populations are sedentary all year. However, European and North Asian birds they migrate to the tropics in winter. Hoopoe had been a vagrant in Alaska during 1975 in the Yukon Delta. Hoopoes are known to breed north of the European range and in southern England during warm, dry summers, where they enjoy grasshoppers and similar insects. During the 1980s, due to climatic changes, they declined in northern Europe. Two basic requirements of hoopoe habitat: bare or lightly vegetated grounds to forage, and vertical surfaces with cavities such as trees, cliffs, or even walls, nest boxes, haystacks, and abundant burrows in which to nest. Hoopoe can habitat in a wide range of ecosystems and inhabits a wide range of habitats such as heathland, wooded steppes, savannas, and grasslands, as well as forest glades. Dense primary forests are also used by Madagascar subspecies, although they are less common and are declining intensively in the farmed areas. Modification of natural habitats by humans for various agricultural purposes has led Hoopoes commonly found in olive groves, orchards, vineyards, parkland, and farmland. Hunting is of concern in southern Europe and Asia. Seasonal movements are seen due to rain in some regions like Ceylon and in Western Ghats. They have been seen at high altitudes during migration across the Himalayas by the first Mount Everest expedition. Madagascar Hoopoe are distributed in Madagascar and is endemic to Madagascar. Its range includes the northwest, central and southern parts of the country. While it is largely absent from the east, it inhabits the edges of forests, clearing glades, savanna, pastures and brushland. African hoopoes widely distributed throughout South Africa. They have even been recorded as far north as Sudan. African hoopoe has been seen in South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Kenya, Saudi Arabia, and southern half of Democratic Republic of the Congo. African hoopoe populations are decreasing and common starlings have been outcompeting them for nesting sites in urban areas. Eurasian hoopoe migrates, however, African hoopoes do not migrate, although some may travel short distances within South Africa and other southern African countries. African hoopoe prefers open and bushy areas including thorn-belt, a landscape with mostly thorny bush and trees, and riverine woodlands in dry areas. It inhabits broadleaf forests and savanna. Hoopoe diet and feed. Diet of Eurasian hoopoe is mostly composed of insects. However, sometimes small reptiles, frogs, and plants matter, such as seeds and berries are taken as well. It is a solitary forager who typically feeds on the ground. They rarely feed in the air, where their strong and rounded wings make them fast and maneuverable in pursuit of numerous swarming insects. While foraging, they probe ground with their bill. Insect larvae, pupae, and mole crickets are detected by the bill and either extracted or dealt with their strong feet. They also probe into piles of leaves, large stones, and flake of bark with their bill to feed. Common diet items include crickets, locusts, beetles, earwigs, cicadas, antlions, bugs, and ants. African hoopoes eat mainly insects like beetles, earwigs, and grasshoppers, locusts, and crickets. Also, small reptiles have been found to be fed to chicks as well as worms, slugs, and small snakes. Small seeds and berries may even be eaten. African hoopoe uses its long beak to penetrate the soil and may whack the insect or prey onto ground to break it up into smaller pieces, preferably in shorter grass. Unlike the rest of the year, African hoopoes maintain a specific territory throughout breeding season in which they feed. Madagascar hoopoe are generally seen alone or in pairs, foraging on the ground, walking a few steps and then looking around, bobbing its head, probing in soil and leaf litter with its beak, picking items off the surface of the ground, probing dung and investigating crevices. Mainly its diet is of insects such as beetles and flies and their larvae, grasshoppers and caterpillars. Hoopoe breeding. Hoopoes are monogamous even though for a single season and are territorial. Male calls frequently to advertise his ownership of the territory. Chases and fights between rival males and sometimes females are common and can be brutal. Birds will try to stab rivals with their bills and individuals are occasionally blinded in fights. Madagascar hoopoe breeding takes place between August and December, mostly during October and November. African hoopoe are monogamous and mating season begins in mid-April when male seeks out a female where he will bribe her with little bits of food. Once the mate is found, breeding occurs late in August and ends in December. Eurasian hoopoe nest is in a hole in a tree or wall and has a narrow entrance. It may be unlined or various scraps may be collected. African hoopoe doesn't make its own nest, rather finds holes that are just slightly larger than their bodies to nest. Possibly nests are chosen by males, but not enough studies for it. Nests are generally found about 8 meters above ground. Madagascar hoopoe nest is in a deep cavity in a tree, often within 3 meters of the ground. Clutch size varies with location. Northern hemisphere birds lay more eggs than those in the southern hemisphere, and birds at higher latitudes have larger clutches than those closer to the equator. In Central and Northern Europe and Asia, the clutch size is around 12, whereas it is around 4 in tropics and 7 in subtropics. Eggs are round and milky blue when laid but quickly discolor in the increasingly dirty nest. They weigh 4.5 grams. Eurasian hoopoe incubation period for the species is between 15 and 18 days, during which time male feeds the female. Incubation begins as soon as the first egg is laid, so the chicks are born asynchronously. The chicks hatch with a covering of downy feathers. By around day 3 to 5, feathered quills emerge, which will become the adult feathers. Chicks are brooded by the female for between 9 and 14 days. Later, female joins the male in the task of bringing food. Young fledge in 26 to 29 days and remain with the parents for about a week more. Hoopoes show hatching in synchrony of eggs, which is thought to allow for brood production when food availability is low. In African hoopoe, once mating has begun, incubation periods last between 14 to 16 days, in which female incubate eggs. African hoopoe chicks after hatching spend between 26 to 32 days, in which they will be fed mostly by male until closer to their fledging date, when female and male share responsibilities. For Madagascar hoopoe, incubation may possibly be done solely by the female, and the partner has been observed feeding the incubating bird. Little nesting material is used and hole becomes messy and smelly before the young fledge. One nest had a clutch of 6 bluish-grey eggs. Both parents are involved in feeding the young. Hoopoes have well-developed anti-predator defenses in the nest. Uropegal gland of the incubating and brooding female is quickly modified to produce a foul-smelling liquid, and the glands of nestlings do so as well. These secretions are rubbed into the plumage. The secretion, which smells like rotting meat, is thought to help deter predators as well as deter parasites and possibly act as an antibacterial agent. Secretions stop soon before the young leaves the nest. Nestlings can also direct streams of eggs at intruders from the age of 6 days and will hiss at them in a snake-like fashion. Young also strike with a bill or with one wing. Hoopoe protects from pests, as its diet includes many species which are pests for humans, such as pupae or processionary moth, a damaging forest pest. Hoopoes are distinctive birds and have made a cultural impact over much of their range. They were considered sacred in ancient Egypt and were depicted on the walls of tombs and temples. Hoopoes were listed among the animals that are detestable and should not be eaten in the Torah Hebrew Bible. Hoopoes also appear in the Quran and is known as the Hudhud. Sacredness of Hoopoe and connection with Solomon and the Queen of Sheba is mentioned in passing in Rudyard Kipling's The Butterfly That Stamped. Hoopoes were seen as a symbol of virtue in Persia. A hoopoe was the leader of the birds in the Persian book of poems, The Conference of the Birds, Mantiq al-Tayr by Attar. Hoopoes were thought of as thieves across much of Europe and harbingers of war in Scandinavia. Hoopoe was chosen as the national bird of Israel in May 2008 in conjunction with the country's 60th anniversary. Hoopoe appears on the logo of the University of Johannesburg and is official mascot of university's sports teams. The municipalities of Armstead and Brechtston, Germany have a hoopoe in their coats of arms. In Morocco, hoopoes are traded live and as medicinal products in the markets, primarily in herbalist shops. This trade is unregulated and a potential threat to the local populations. 3 CGI-enhanced hoopoes, together with other birds collectively named the Tittifers, are often shown whistling a song in the BBC children's television series In the Night Garden. The questioned sighting of a blue-crested hoopoe in a British countryside is the basis of a rare bird, a 2012 episode of British mystery series Midsomer Murders. Harrison Todd, a World War II fighter ace and later a noted ornithologist, named his P-51 Mustang as Upupa epops, the scientific name of the hoopoe bird. Hoopoe was recorded as residing in Britain in the 18th century.